There are different parts of Marietta. Of course, there are some really great parts and some popular areas that lots of people are moving to. And then there are some not so great parts of Marietta. And of course, if you're thinking about moving here, you want to make sure that you are aware of the best areas of Marietta to live in. So we're going to take a look at the map and look specifically at some parts of Marietta that I think are the best areas to move to. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living, and we put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and the surrounding suburbs. In general, when we look at Marietta, there's kind of like 4 different areas of Marietta that we need to talk about. One of those areas is like the Marietta Square, downtown Marietta, or historic Marietta. This is all really the same thing, and it's kind of at the center of the city of Marietta. And this part of the city is very different than the rest of Marietta. Most of this city is like suburban, so lots of neighborhoods, different shopping centers here and there, or like on the main roads, there's some parts that are very commercial, but the majority of the city is lots of residential neighborhoods. Well, the center of Marietta, the historic part, is a little different. You have the center, which is Marietta Square, which is mostly commercial, mostly shops and restaurants. They've got the park in the middle with the fountain, which is kind of iconic. And then there are some homes that are around that Marietta Square. And I'm talking about a very small area, maybe, 2 square miles. And so this is a very small area. And that area around Marietta Square, you can imagine, is much older than the rest of the city. So we're talking older homes. We're talking homes from the 1910s, 1920s. Very often, these are homes that are 100 years old, but people choose to live in these areas because they want to be walking distance to the square. They want to be walking distance to those shops and those restaurants. And that kind of convenience is what many people are looking for. So let's take a look at the map so I can describe exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the historic part of Marietta. So all of this area here is the area of Marietta, the city of Marietta. But if we zoom into like the middle of Marietta, you can see this is really where the historic, or like the downtown part of Marietta is. And right away, you can see there's a lot more of this kind of grid pattern roads. And so you can see, this is the way that they built the roads a long time ago. They don't do this in Marietta anymore. The roads are not in this kind of simple grid pattern. This is something that they did really when they established the city. So at the very center is Marietta Square. And there's also the fountain there in the middle, which I think they've got a picture. Well, they've kind of got a picture there. But all around this square right here, these are all shops and restaurants all along here. Some of my favorites are Elon North. Taqueria Tsunami is also here. They've got a bunch here. And then also some like local souvenirs and things they have here on this street. But around this square is lots of older homes. There are a few condos, I believe, right around here. This strip right here is condos or townhomes that were built in like the 2015s to 2020. But anything around here is going to provide you that easy walkability to the Marietta Square area that many people are looking for. The next part of Marietta that we really need to talk about is East Cobb. If you're thinking about buying a home in East Cobb, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out and has supported this channel. I'm always happy to help. Even if you just have any questions about what it's like to live here, I'm happy to answer those questions. But the next part is East Cobb, and as you can imagine, this is on the east part of Marietta, and it's kind of confusing. We often refer to it as East Cobb, but it's all of East Cobb is Marietta. So it is kind of confusing, but it's like the part that is east of Marietta Square. Many people kind of use that Marietta Square part as the thing that divides West Cobb from East Cobb. Or it could also be the interstate. Sometimes people use the interstate as the dividing line that separates East Cobb from West Cobb. Either way, it doesn't really matter. East Cobb is not like an official area. It's not a city. It's just kind of an area that the locals refer to it as the East Cobb area. One of the main reasons why people move to this area is because they want to be close to the 3 main high schools that are some of the best in all of Metro Atlanta. That's Lassiter High School, Pope High School, and Walton High School. All three of these are in East Cobb or East Marietta, and so many people want to be in that school district. But something else you should know about that area is that those homes are not really a lot of new construction in that area. The majority of that area was developed like in the 70s and 80s, maybe early 90s. So a lot of those homes are from that time period. So you're looking at homes that are 30 to 40 years old in many cases when you're in that Lassiter, Pope, or Walton school district. So if we zoom into the map here, we can see in the east part of Marietta, I've got these flags highlighted here so I don't lose my place. This is really where many people want to move to, is these high school districts here. So we have Lassiter High School, which is off of Shallowford Road. So all of these homes around Lassiter is a great place to live, to be able to be in that Lassiter High School district. We also have, let's see, Pope High School is a little south of here. So Pope High School is also off of Shallowford and kind of also between Sandy Plains Road. So any of these homes, any of these neighborhoods here would also be a great place to live as well. Again, many people are moving to these areas because they want to be in these high school districts. And then Walton High School is kind of on the south part of East Cobb, closer to Roswell Road. And then all of these neighborhoods here close to Walton High School would also be a great place to live. So the next area of Marietta that is super popular, and we kind of distinguish this as a separate part of Marietta, is West Cobb. Now, most of West Cobb is Marietta, and some parts of West Cobb are like Kennesaw, maybe Ackworth. Again, this is not an official area. This is just kind of a thing that we describe as the West Cobb area. And so most of it is Marietta. And one of the biggest draws for people who live in this area is that they want to be in an area that has great community. I used to live in West Cobb, and I maybe am a little biased. I now live in East Cobb, but West Cobb has some great communities. The people there are very friendly, very down to earth. I mean, they are everywhere in Marietta, but it feels more so in the Marietta area. Also, home values are a little lower in West Cobb than you find in East Cobb. So in West Cobb, the average home value is about $500,000, whereas in East Cobb, it's closer to about $600 or $650. So that more affordable home options is a really big draw to many people who live in the West Cobb area. So if we zoom into the West Cobb area, we're kind of to the west of Marietta Square, and we have this main road here. This is Dallas Highway. I know it says Highway 120, but many of the locals know this as Dallas Highway. It says Whitlock Avenue here because it changes to Whitlock Avenue when it gets closer to Marietta Square, but you can see here it's called Dallas Highway. It's the same road. I know it's super confusing, but in West Cobb, it's called Dallas Highway. When it gets close to Marietta Square, it's called Whitlock Avenue. They're just trying to make it confusing. It's all Highway 120, and the majority of West Cobb is right around here, around Dallas Highway. There's a Target around here. There's also a Chick-fil-A, which is super important. All of like the main staples that you would need, grocery stores, all of those are off of Highway 120 or Dallas Highway. But in addition to that, if we go farther west, we get to the Hillgrove High School district. And this is where you really find super affordable homes. We're kind of getting into Powder Springs here, but there are homes as low as $400,000, maybe even $350,000 in Powder Springs, and you can still be in an excellent school district. Hillgrove High School is a 9 out of 10, so you still have that great high school district and affordable homes, which is a combination that is kind of difficult to find in many parts of Metro Atlanta. So this, in my opinion, is the best part of West Cobb to live in. And then lastly, we have the South Cobb area. And so there are some good parts of South Cobb and there are some bad parts of South Cobb. And so we have to really kind of look at the map to figure out where the best parts of South Cobb are. Almost all of South Cobb is Marietta, but there's also Dobbins Air Reserve Base down there in South Cobb or South Marietta. And so you really don't want to be too close to the airport because, or the Air Reserve Base, because you obviously don't want to be listening to those airplanes taking off and landing. And of course that would be a problem. So anything super close to the airport or within the line of the runway, which we're going to take a look at here on the map in just a second, that would definitely be an area where you don't want to live. But close to where the Atlanta Braves stadium is, Truist Park, there's a lot of shopping, a lot of nightlife. Also, the homes are most affordable in South Cobb or South Marietta. So this is really what brings so many people to that part of Marietta. So if we scroll down a little bit here to the south part of Marietta, you can see here is where Dobbins Air Reserve Base is. So any of these homes around here, or on the backside of the runway, they're definitely hearing those airplanes taking off and landing, and I'm sure it's an issue. So this is not really an area where you want to live. But if we move kind of farther away from the air reserve base, in my opinion, this intersection, Powder Springs Road and Windy Hill Road, you'll actually see how often they change the names of these roads. On this side of Powder Springs, it's called Windy Hill Road, but on the other side of Powder Springs, it's called Macklin Road. So anyways, this intersection right here, again, Chick-fil-A right around here. Chick-fil-A is like the highlight. If you're near a Chick-fil-A, you're in a good part of Metro Atlanta. But also there's a Publix here and a Kroger up here. And so this is where you find a lot of neighborhoods with families, and this is also where you find very affordable homes close to shopping, low to no crime in these areas. And so this part of South Marietta, in my opinion, is the best part to live in. So certainly a lot of factors about whether or not you should move to Marietta, but ultimately the best way to figure out if you want to live here is to see what the city feels like, to come in person and walk the streets and see the people and talk to the people. This is the best way to do it. But of course, if you're living in another state or another country, it can be difficult to come all the way to Marietta just to see what it's like in downtown Marietta. So I made an entire video where I went on a tour of downtown Marietta, walking through Marietta Square and showing you the different parts of Marietta Square. You can check out that video right here. I'll see you in the next one.